Hey everybody, today we're going to learn how to factor expressions using the distributive property. In essence, what we're doing when we're factoring expressions with the distributive property is the opposite of what we were doing before with the distributive property. Before we were expanding, we were saying hi and multiplying and taking that number outside the parentheses and multiplying it with all the terms inside the parentheses. Now we're basically undoing that. So let me show you with a few examples. First example, 10x plus 35. I want to factor out the greatest common factor. Last year we looked at doing greatest common factor. It's the biggest number that goes into both numbers. So the first one, 10x and 35. I want to see what's the biggest number that goes in both of those. And I kind of know this one ends in a 0, this one ends in a 5. That's giving me a good clue that 5 is a factor of it. Don't know if it's the greatest common factor, but I know at least 5 is a factor. So I'm going to divide all my terms by 5. And I'm going to put what's left in a sled, kind of like a sled. Oops. 10x divided by 5, that's 2x. Keep the plus, just like we kept it before doing this distributive property. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Then I look in the sled and I ask myself, is there anything that goes, what's the greatest common factor going into 2 and 7? 1 doesn't count. We don't count 1. Oh, there's no greatest factor. Those are two prime numbers, meaning the only factors for each number is 1 in itself. So done. So my final answer in factored form for this 5 times the quantity of 2x plus 7. That is equivalent. It's the same thing as 10x plus 35. It's just written in a different way. We kind of undid what we used to do with the distributive property, and I'm going to show you. Let's move back to what doing the expanded form. If we do 5 times 2x, say hi, multiply, that's 10x, drop down the plus, 5 times 7, that's 35. Ha! Match! 10x plus 35, 10x plus 35, same thing. So this expression, 5 times the quantity of 2x plus 7, and this expression are equivalent. They're the same thing. This is written in factored form, and this is written in expanded form. Same exact value. They're equivalent. They're just written different ways using the distributive property. Let's look at another one. We're actually going to look at 4. Okay, now we have 36x minus 6. I'm going to pretend for a moment that I don't know that 6 is the greatest common factor of 36 and 6. Let's just say that my times tables are a little rusty. I'm going to look at it and kind of use some knowledge I know, using some simpler math facts. I'm going to look at those and say, hey, I notice they're both even. I know even numbers are divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 goes on the outside of the sled, and then whatever they divide to goes on the inside. 36 divided by 2, 36x divided by 2, that's 18x. Keep the minus. 6 divided by 2, 3. Now I look to check and see, is there any common factor to 18 and 3? Oh, I know 3 goes into both of those. So I'm going to pull a 3 out. 18 divided by 3, that's 6x. Drop down the minus. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, the guys that left in the sled, that's what goes in your parentheses. 6x minus 1. And then whoever is left on the outside multiplies. 2 times 3 is 6. Again, remember I told you I kind of knew that 6 was the greatest common factor of 36 and 6. I could have divided this by 6, 36x divided by 6, 6x. 6 divided by 6, 1. But I did it a little longer because maybe that math fact I didn't know, but I did know how to notice even numbers. I knew that was divisible by 3. I know this is a lot of steps. If you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, don't worry. I'm going to do a couple more examples and we're going to do some together in class. Okay, I'm going to double check my answer. 6 times 6x, that's 36x. Drop down the minus. 6 times 1 is 6. So I redid the distributive property to expand this just to double check. Yay! These two match, which means that this final answer is correct. These two expressions are equivalent. This one is in factored form, expanded form. Expanded, factored, because we pulled out the greatest common factor. All right, 2 more. All right, we got 9y take away 36. Again, I'm going to pretend like I don't know that 9 goes into both of those. If I divided both those by 9, I would have 9 divided by 9 is 1, 36 divided by 9 is 4. But I'm going to look at that and pretend like I don't know that, but I know that they're both divisible by 3. So 3 is going to go on the outside. 9 divided by 3, that's 9y divided by 3, that's 3y. 36 divided by 3, keep my minus, is 12. Oh, both of these are also divisible by 3. So I'm going to pull out a 3. 3y divided by 3, that's 1y, or just y. Drop down my minus. 12 divided by 3, that's 4. Looking for a greatest common factor of 1 and 4, well, it's 1, but we don't count that as a greatest common factor because every number is divisible by 1. And when you divide by 1, it doesn't change it. Okay, so I keep what's in the last sled, 1y minus 4, which is the same thing as y, take away 4. We don't need that 1 in front. Multiply the numbers on the outside. Again, I could have done 9y divided by 9 is 1y. 36 divided by 9 is 4, if I already knew that 9 was a factor of both of those. If I have to take more steps to get it down to the greatest common factor, that's fine too. Double check super quick. 9 times y, that's 9y. Drop down my minus. 9 minus 9 times 4, 36. Matches. Matches. I got it into the factored form correctly. 2 equivalent expressions, just written in different forms, expanded and factored. Last example for the video. All right, 8m take away 32. Well, let's pretend I don't know the greatest common factor is 8. I'm going to do my thing where I like 8 and 32, those are both even numbers. I know even numbers are divisible by 2. So I'm going to pull a 2 out. 8m divided by 2 is 4m. Keep the minus. 32 divided by 2, that's 16. Oh, well, I know 4. I could have done even numbers. I could divide it by 2, but I know 4 goes into both of those. So I'm going to pull out a 4. 4m divided by 4 is just m, or 1m. Drop down my minus. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Keep what's in the last sled. Put it in parentheses. 2 times 4, excuse me, is 8. Again, if you're really good at your math facts, you could have known both of these were divisible by 8. 8 divided by 8 is m. 32 divided by 8 is 4. but I took it a little more step by step. Double check, always double check. 8 times m, 8m, keep my minus. 8 times 4, 32. Matches, matches. That is perfect. All right, guys, we'll do some examples now together in class.